on Instagram Live, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez revealed that she was hiding in Congresswoman Katie Porter's office during the invasion of the Capitol.
Get him to bust into Katie's office, and Katie's like having a cup of coffee, like I think the information's still trickling in, etc. And so I start, ripping through Katie's office like a mad woman. Poor Katie, I'm like opening every closet. I'm opening every nook. I'm opening like every cranny, looking for where I'm going to hide when they get into this office.
And Congresswoman Katie Porter is back with us. And I just want to listen to a bit more of what Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez says about what it felt like when she finally did choose her hiding place. Let's listen to this.
I hide back in the bathroom behind the door. And then I just start to hear these yells of, "Where is she? Where is she?" And I just thought to myself, they got inside. It felt like my brain was able to have so many thoughts in that moment, between these screams and these yells of, "Where is she? Where is she?" And so I go down and I thought I was going to die.
Congresswoman Porter, what was that like for you? And did you know just how deep Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez's fears were at that time?
Well, at first she saw me, and we waved. I went into my office, and a couple seconds later, she knocked and she said, could we come in? And I said, of course. And she began to, her staffer was trying to describe what had happened. And Alex is really usually like unfailingly polite and very personable. And she wasn't even really talking to me. She was opening up doors. And I was like, "Can I help you? Like, what are you looking for?" And she said, "I'm looking for where I'm going to hide." And the thing that will always stay with me, the two memories that really, especially as a mom, I think were just really powerful for me, was when she said, I was saying, "Well, don't worry, I'm a mom, I'm calm, I've got everything here we need. We could live for like a month in this office." And she said, "I just hope I get to be a mom. I hope I don't die today." And the second thing is she was wearing heels. And I remember her saying to me, I was wearing flats. And I remember her saying to me, "I knew I shouldn't have worn heels. How am I going to run?" And we went and we found her a pair of sneakers to wear from one of my staffers so that she could run if she needed to literally run for her life.
That was Congresswoman Katie Porter giving her side of the story in the wake of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez sweeping across social media after an Instagram Live recounting her experience escaping from the insurrectionists on January 6th.
I felt that if this was the journey that my life was taking, that I felt that things were going to be okay. And that, I had fulfilled my purpose. Anyways, sorry guys.
What's most striking after watching that, in my opinion, is that this is the event that Republicans are attempting to sweep under the rug. Lawmakers thought they were going to die at work, in their own offices at the United States Capitol, in this country. Not some war-torn country, not some third world country, the United States of America. We're talking about a 31-year-old congresswoman trying to find sneakers in case she needed to run for her life. And yet, instead of acknowledging the severity of the events of that day, Republicans' only aim now is to pretend that it was permissible and to absolve those responsible from being held to account. And why? Because per usual, they're protecting Trump, even though not not only does he offer no benefit to Republicans, but he's actually a drag on the party. In the last election, he ran behind nearly every Republican on the ballot. He was able to turn out a record 81 million Americans against him. The guy never even broke 50% approval in his entire presidency, and that's the guy they're continuing to kowtow to, even after he was voted out of office? It's like the GOP is demanding to lose. In reality, the only emotion you should feel toward Donald Trump is fury. Fury that he lied, that he manipulated his supporters into believing his lies, that he's too small and petty of a man to accept the fact that he lost, and that his BS antics nearly cost the lives of people who show more respect for this country in a single day than Donald Trump has in his entire sad excuse for a life. And it's not just Trump, by the way. You should be furious at the likes of Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley and the rest of the Republican elected officials who validated Trump's lies from Congress. And in the case of Cruz and Hawley, that they did it for their own personal benefit. They're going to run for president in 2024. They want to pander to Trump's base. And so even though they knew that his stolen election claims were complete and utter BS, they repeated them anyway because they're not concerned with anything other than their own ambition. If AOC had lost her life, it would have been because Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz were pandering for votes, and they know it. And finally, you should be furious with the people who even now, even after the insurrection, continue to parrot the lies that led to the insurrection in the first place. If you can watch these lies get debunked by the courts around the country, by the DOJ, the DHS, Republican governors and secretaries of state, and recounts and audits, and yet you still support the people who have knowingly and willfully lied to you because they thought it would be politically advantageous for themselves, then you are part of the problem. This is no longer about pretending you're focused on election integrity. That issue is been litigated and adjudicated. It is over and it's time to grow up. The fact is that the insurrection at the Capitol exposed the GOP for what it really was better than any single event. They claimed to be staunch defenders of the Constitution, and yet they tried to subvert the will of the people in a free and fair election to install the election's loser to a second term. They claimed to be pro-police, and yet their mob bludgeoned a police officer to death. They claim to be pro-life, and yet haven't managed to say a word about the multiple people, including, again, a cop, as well as a number of their own supporters who died that day at the Capitol. The fact is that they'll tout these platitudes when it's convenient, but when it comes time to actually stand up for what they purport to believe in, suddenly it's crickets from the right. So my words may fall on deaf ears, but if Senate Republicans don't vote to convict Donald Trump at the upcoming Senate trial, that is a tacit endorsement of what AOC and Katie Porter and the rest of the members of Congress and the Senate endured on January 6th as insurrectionists sought to kill them. And that will not only be a stain on their legacy, it will wholly and unequivocally define them. And those Republicans may not care, but will not only be happy to remind them every last day that they walk the halls of the Capitol, will remember at the ballot box who stood up when a mob tried to kill our elected officials and who was too spineless to offer a single word. While you're here, please check out my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen. I take a deep dive into the top stories of the week, and I also interview major players in the world of politics, like Kamala Harris, Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, Pete Buttigieg, Katie Porter, Al Franken, Cory Booker, Jamie Harrison, Mary Trump, and many more. Again, that's No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, available anywhere you listen to podcasts.